All right, let's dive into one of the most misunderstood, and let's be honest, most feared cards in the entire tarot deck, the Devil. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Demons, darkness, all kinds of doom and gloom. But what if I told you this card isn't a prediction of evil at all? What if it's actually a profound invitation to reclaim your own personal power? Let's uncover its true meaning together. The Devil card cuts right to the chase. It asks one simple but incredibly powerful question. What holds you down? And it's not looking for some outside force. It's asking you to look inside at those invisible chains and restrictions that you might not even realize are there. So let's just clear this up right away. This card has very, very little to do with a literal devil. Instead, it represents your shadow self. That's the part of you that holds your deepest fears, your secret desires, and your addictions. And these aren't just bad habits. A lot of the time, they're coping mechanisms born from that shadow. It's about the inner demons we all have, the ones that we ourselves give power to. Which brings us perfectly to our first section, the chains we forge. Because the central message of this card is that we are so often the architects of our own prisons, even when it feels like we're being held captive by something else entirely. At its absolute core, the Devil card is all about a powerful illusion. It creates this feeling that you're stuck, that you have no other options, and that you're just a victim of your circumstances. But the card's real secret, its true message, is that the feeling of being powerless is the real trap, not the reality of your situation. This leads to a kind of tricky concept, complicity. Put simply, it's our unconscious agreement to stay stuck. I mean, think about the classic Rider-Waite depiction of this card. The figures are chained, sure, but their bonds are loose. They could escape if they really, truly chose to. This shows how we often participate in our own limitations. Sometimes it feels easier, maybe even safer, to stay with what's familiar, even if it's harmful, than to do the incredibly hard work of breaking free. So, when this card shows up upright, it's pointing directly to these themes. We're talking about addiction, and not just to substances. It can be an addiction to materialism, to drama, even to our own negative thought patterns. These are the playgrounds of the shadow self. They're distractions, right? They're ways we choose a quick hit of pleasure or familiarity to avoid the much scarier, long-term work of confronting what's really going on inside. So, how do these themes actually play out in our daily lives? Well, in our second section, we're going to explore what it means when the Devil card pops up in readings about love, career, and money. In a love reading, the Devil can be a major red flag for codependency. It's that feeling of completely losing your individuality in a relationship or becoming so obsessed that it turns unhealthy. It can also point to a connection that's based purely on lust and selfish desires, instead of genuine care and mutual respect. When it comes to your career, this card is the classic golden handcuff scenario. You feel stuck in a job you really dislike, maybe because the money's good or it feels secure, and you start blaming your boss or your coworkers or the economy. But the card is here to remind you that you have way more power and more choices than you think. You are not a victim of your career path. And financially, the Devil warns against a really dangerous attachment to materialism. This could be things like compulsive shopping, gambling, or just believing that status and having more things will bring you happiness. It's a vicious cycle of seeking external validation that never ever truly satisfies that internal void. Okay, so that all sounds pretty heavy, I know, but here's where the story takes a super empowering turn. Section 3 is all about breaking the chains, because the reversed meaning of this card is where we find our freedom. I mean, just look at this. The difference is night and day. If the upright card is the problem, the addiction, the restriction, the powerlessness, then the reversed card is the solution. It means release, independence, and that exact moment you start reclaiming your power. That's why getting this card reversed isn't bad news at all. It's often the sign of a massive breakthrough just around the corner. This is that big aha moment. When the Devil appears reversed, it means you're becoming aware of the patterns that have been holding you back. You're finally seeing the chains for what they are, and more importantly, you're realizing the key to unlock them has been in your pocket this entire time. Now, this path to freedom isn't magic. It's a conscious process. It's a series of deliberate steps. First, you just acknowledge the pattern without judgment. Then comes that crucial moment of realizing you've played a role in it. From there, you can take accountability and start making new choices. So what does this breakthrough look like? Well, in a love reading, reversing the devil means breaking free from that codependency and reclaiming your individuality. It's choosing genuine connection over obsession. In your career, it's that moment you stop blaming your job and you start updating your resume. You realize those golden handcuffs were never actually locked. And with money, it's about breaking the cycle of compulsive spending and understanding that your self-worth has nothing to do with what you own. This brings us to our final section, the devil's powerful advice. Because ultimately, this card isn't here to scare you. It's here to give you a righteous and honestly, a loving call-out. When it comes down to it, this card is a powerful call to action. It asks you to confront your shadow, to be brutally honest about your own behavior, and to take radical responsibility for your life. It's a call to commit to the hard but incredibly rewarding work of your own liberation, which is, in itself, an act of profound self-love. This single idea sums up the entire message of the card so perfectly. The prison is an illusion. The powerlessness is a feeling, not a fact. The chains are loose, and you have always had the power to take them off. So I'll leave you with this final thought. The devil card isn't a sentence. It's a diagnosis and a prescription for freedom. It hands you the key to your own self-imposed prisons. The only question left is, what will you choose to unlock?
Continue your tarot journey by liking, subscribing, and checking out our books. The link is in the description below. Until next time, goodbye.